as a black man, young black man, you're a demographic that has been most vocal with not taking the vaccine. And so I'm just like appreciative that you went and then listed the stuff that's in your Moderna. I'm team Moderna as well. So let me just say that. I appreciate you doing that. What's been the backlash?
The backlash, it's crazy. The backlash been pretty minimal. I want to thank you for shouting me out. I will tell you, it took a whole lot of work to do that video. The backlash has been pretty minimal. It's been so many people like boosting the videos and what I'm saying. I mean, if you got to go into like the comment section of like where I posted on YouTube to maybe get something like that, maybe on Instagram is maybe a handful of folk who are peddling more conspiracy theories and their superstitions. But overall, it's been mostly love. So I'm blessed. I'm feeling good.
You said it took a while to do that, and you have some amazing videos on dating. Let me just say, y'all, hilarious. And he's got the little vignettes in between, little commentary that goes into the commentary. What made you do this? And then take us through the process, because there are a lot of folk creating content. Yours is really smart.
I appreciate you. No, originally I started doing online content creation back on YouTube back in 2008. My first video was when Barack Obama won the first time. I was a senior in college, and I didn't know anything about editing at that point. Fast forward maybe a year later, I started taking it more seriously and try to learning a little bit more, about editing and whatnot. And then over time things have been developed, and at that time in history, being able to do quick clips and have background music and make sure that your video is coherent. That was pretty much the style, at least amongst, male bloggers. And there were a lot of women bloggers who were doing it as well. But as far as it relates to COVID, I don't know, I just got tired of the misinformation. Like, because of the lockdown, I spent a lot of time on Clubhouse. And you go in these rooms on that app and you hear people's concerns, and a lot of the concerns, I don't want to say all, but there are a lot of them that are built or at least based in either superstition or conspiracy or that sort of thing. Some are actually based in, historical context. We understand medical, inadequacies towards Black folk, throughout the history of this country. And I give those some grace. That makes perfect sense, why people be hesitant in that regard. But girl, you wouldn't believe some of the things I done heard. People think about they getting magnet superpowers and all that. And so when I see on social media, on a platform I think I'm comfortable with, there's only so much I can take. And so I was like, I got to say something, speak up, just because, number one, there's great information out there that I had to sit in and get through, but I don't think people really know how to communicate it the best way. And I think I'm pretty good at it. So that's what I did. And here we go.
866-801-8255. Drew comments. I want to play one that you did. I'm trying to, I don't want to play the whole 2 minutes though, but so you have a lot of things about dating. I'm gonna tweet them out so folk can look at them themselves. And I feel like, Eljoy has talked, she's married. She just bought her first house. As Black people, I'm not saying we're in a crisis at all, because I believe that that's a false narrative, but there are a lot. You said, do you like women that have flaws? That one of your videos, and that warmed my heart, because who's perfect? I mean, you're damn near perfect, Drew, but who is really perfect out there? And you were like, I like that little lazy eye. I like, all that adds character. I was like, yes, because we're, in this chase, the perfect booty, the perfect lips, the perfect. Who raised you is what I really want to say. How'd you get like this?
I was raised by a girl from the South. No, my mom is from a little town in Palmerly, North Carolina. It's 252, so it's one of them little small towns. But no, it's for me, I think the flaws thing was just something I kind of noticed over the years, but I never actually put it into a video. And I was like, what kind of type do I have? And for real, like, I wasn't even capping on that part, where it was just like, girls with just a little bit of a lazy eye, just had that off just a little bit. It's something I find a little sexy. It's attractive to me, and maybe not all the way, but just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And I just kind of, what I try to do is I take like truths in those regards, and then I'll maybe exaggerate them to emphasize a point. And people find the humor in it, but I think they get the point about that. But yeah, I like that. I like that. I like it. I like some flaws. I like a little imperfection. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I can't really describe why that is, but I like it.
Well, I mean, no problem. I mean, I watched just recently the one you did on the vaccines, which I think is really helpful, is that we need all forms of media and different conversations, whether it's, on the corner conversation, church conversations, on social media, the place where people consume information, to sort of dispel some of these myths. Thank God I didn't have nothing about no superpowers. People talking to me, I don't know if I would be able to keep a straight face in those kind of conversations, but I have encountered people, and having these resources like yours, like video, and just to be able to send to people. I think about my younger brother who works in a medical adjacent place, like he works for what's the transport people or whatever, and he's like, nah, I'm not about to get that. And I'm like, but you during the pandemic were complaining about working overtime because the people, like, sir. Right. But then he would be sending me videos from like TikTok, and then he was like, yeah, this is, and I'm like, are you really listening to somebody who got a random YouTube channel versus like, and so to be able to counteract with those forms of media, right? Like if you're already getting your news and getting information from YouTube or TikTok or things like that, to then be able to have resources like that you can just use and send your wayward cousin or your little brother and be like, I see your YouTube crazy link with this link, for a more like, just something to challenge where they're getting that information from. I think that's really important.
No, I appreciate it. I agree with you. I think for me, it was just a matter of, like I said, getting the information first, making sure I'm getting proper information. And in some ways, I felt like, Clubhouse was a blessing in disguise, because I was able to literally sit in lectures for 2 or 3 hours. And when I say lectures, like we had immunologists, virologists, cardiologists, these doctors and these ICU physicians who were on the front line seeing things and who have studied this for years. They went to school and did all this and continue to do the work, and who were able to answer questions from people who had maybe some conspiracy theories or questions. And I was able to learn, and they were breaking things down. I was like, well, I'm going to take some notes. So that took a few months to do that. And then they're also able to clear up some things about what sources are actually credible and what certain sources we see have not been verified yet, and how those work. There's a popular site called VAERS that people like to reference, but they don't understand that VAERS is like Wikipedia. Anybody's throwing stuff up there. None of that information actually has been verified.
Pause. Wikipedia? No,
not real Wikipedia.
This is where people get their information. I mean, but Drew and Eljoy, this is like, I feel like we're in this weird bubble of time that we're going to look back on and be really, really embarrassed that we were human beings at this time. But people are getting their information from Wikipedia, which is people can literally go and put information on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Anybody.
Well, I have to say, to put in context, from being, being a student of history, you can look back and go back and see how people trafficked information and things, and just, you could be embarrassed by them too, right? So like,
oh yeah, but there's no excuse there's no excuse today, because we have supposedly access to every bit of information that's out there, which is also the problem, that we have access to every bit of information. And unfortunately, we have not been trained to do what Drew did, which is to go in with his notepad and pull out the facts and then go check the facts. And then we're lazy. So we're reading headlines and doing the little emojis and stuff and not digesting the actual facts. And then we don't believe anybody who have,
but then, or you go back to your earlier point where people they have a belief and they are going to look for things that confirm that belief, rather than having the tools, which we talked about earlier in the show, to say, this, like, for instance, Drew puts out a video, he says something, whatever, and I watch it. I'm like, I wonder if that's true. Let me go look at a couple of other sources, right? Instead of just one, to verify and verify the source in which I'm getting information. I don't take, no offense, Drew, but I don't take, what you say just as, word. I'm going to go look and say, well, is this entity saying that? And this and that? Oh, okay. Well, then now there's some, I'm checking my sources in that standpoint. Have people been taught, when you are trying to ingest information, that you need to also question it in a way to verify the sources that are being told. I don't trust everything the Times say. I know they got their own process and things like that, but that doesn't mean that I don't also, well, what is Reuters saying? What is, the papers actually in Haiti say? Like being able to gather that information.
No, that's real. Look, I'm gonna tell you like this. Once they told you that our now vice president was locking up black men and broke the state record, and people believe that, like, I knew at that point we was in trouble. Because then that was really one of the things that I remember back then. So people weren't even checking it; they just kept putting that information out. She was locking up black moms, and she was locking up because they were missing school. And I'm like, y'all really believe this? And so you had to really, so that's one of the I guess some of the earlier practice that I had, at least back in 2019, of being able to research, look at memes and be like, first off, that sounds like some cap, but let's go ahead and just look at the actual data. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then like that don't even make sense, bro. Like, and then you look back and you find out that even sources that people kind of trust, like the New York Times, may run a report, may run an op-ed that says to that same subject, that she was not a progressive prosecutor. She fought tooth and nail. And the entire op-ed from start to finish is all cap. But people think that it's because it's coming from the New York Times that it's been fact-checked, and it has not. So, I mean, so it goes to that. They're not checking for, they told you that Hillary was running a sex ring out of a pizza shop. They told you, like, and people were believing this, and so
no, man showed up with a gun to rescue the kids in the pizza shop.
Yo, this is where we at in life. This is part of my vernacular, but this is literally where we are in history. And to your point, Karen, it's like, yo, I would be happy when this era is over and we can look back and be like, yo, that was crazy. But yeah, I mean, you got to be able to just look at things and just be able to like, okay, does this sound realistic? And there's another thing I want to kind of introduce to folks, something called Occam's razor. And what that is that okay, and a lot of people don't know what that is, but when you are trying to come and form an hypothesis, the simplest, most direct answer is usually the correct one. All right. So anytime you got to go all the way around the block, well, you know what I'm saying? Melinda Gates and Bill Gates, they had a meeting, they had coffee. What's the name? You know what I'm saying? They went over there, did that. Now he's trying to block the sun out. Now I mean, I bite D gonna be like, that's when you understand you kind of going off into the woods, and we get into a scary place. And I would hope that people can kind of look back and be like, nah, let's just see what's makes a little bit more sense. So yeah.
His name is Drew. Drew Comments is where you can find him. Drew Comments on all of these platforms. How do you make a living? So you went to school, you went to a great HBCU, North Carolina, A&T is where you went.
That's right. Aggie Pride.
Yes. I love the school. I know many people that went there as engineers, who are great engineers now. You came out to become a journalist, right?
In a way, I think I never really got into journalism all the way. When I came out of school, I had to find a job quick because I graduated in 2009. And so at that point, we were hemorrhaging jobs like nobody's business. And so I actually moved back home to South Jersey, where I'm from. And I was born in West Philly, raised in South Jersey. But, so getting there, it was like I need a job somewhere. Ended up getting into working at a call center at a bank, and then got into that. And just started picking up and had an affinity for banking. But again, I was just able to it still involves a whole lot of communication. Was never handling any kind of money, thank God, because you don't want me counting your money. I can count my own money. I can't count nobody else. But and did that. And then now moving to Los Angeles, find other opportunities to make money out here, still do the corporate America thing as well. Again, it's just, I've been blessed just to be able to make a living and also be able just to create content, from time to time that people actually rock with.
So Drew Comments is your side hustle. It's not no.
Drew Comments is the side hustle, yes indeed. But just given the momentum that I'm seeing lately, I would say this: ever since 2019, September 2019, when I dropped that Kamala Harris video, my life has definitely changed. I will admit, it has brought me, I've been in contact and brought people into my, contacts who I've admired for years, Hollywood directors, influential folk, like people with connections. And so it's definitely has not been the same since that day in September when I dropped that video. So now when I'm doing posts and stuff, I did a video, a couple months ago, explaining the American Rescue Plan Act. That got me cool with Jamie Harrison, who's the chair of the DNC. This vaccine video, got Nancy Pelosi's team following me on social media. And so The Kamala Harris video, their whole family, Doug Emhoff, Kamala, you know, her sister, everybody. So it's been definitely a different life since I decided to do that particular video. It's just been wild. It's a wild ride.